Here we go. We'll do it a better way. Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 2017, and welcome back to Upton Farm. Let's get a handle on where we're at right now. So everything has been drilled. Everything's been planted except field number 28, and we're right next to the T7, and we're going to knock out field 28 right quick and get that done with, and then we're going to send the T7 home. I'm going to send him back to the farm, and we're going to finish up a couple other things on this side of the map, and then we'll think about what we want to do next. So let's get this guy going. I'll go ahead and knock out this field manually, and we've got our head tracking on, but I'm not quite used to it. There's nothing wrong with the head tracking, as always. As always, any problems are pilot error. Right, so this field, it's a pretty small field for a 6 meter. How do we want to do this? Do it this way. I don't know what my levels are like right now. We've got a new app that we're recording to. We are recording to Shadowplay via the GeForce Experience straight out of the card, and we're going to forego OBS for a while until we figure out what the problem is. Now, the interesting thing is, the only problem that we're having with OBS right now is cattle and crops. And if you only watch one of my series, then you only have to hear these things once. If you watch all of them, you're hearing the same things over and over, and I do apologize if that is the case. But the only app the only sim we're having a problem with in OBS at this point, really having a problem with, is cattle and crops. But cattle and crops is not on the channel at the moment because of the problems that I was having. Not with recording the game, but with actually playing the game. It is early access, and there are some things that the developers are still adjusting. How's that for diplomacy? So until they get those things, for me anyway, until they get those things sorted out, I'm not able to finish mission 17, and that means I can't record any episodes because there is free play in cattle and crops at this point, but there's not really a lot to free play. There's not a ton of equipment yet. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it this way. There's not a ton of equipment yet. There aren't any cereal crops. It's really just harvesting silage. So until the next patch comes out, or until they get the AI resolved, which may be the same thing. You know, it could be that when they get that patch in, it sorts the AI, and we'll call it good. Maybe not. But until then, I can't advance. Is right? Yeah, it's not quite how I wanted to do it. Not quite how I wanted to do it. It's a small field. It'll be done in a minute. So that is the sim that I'm having the most problems with as far as OBS. So I went to Shadowplay just kind of as an experiment. I find out I get a better result more easily. I mean, it's really just turn it on and forget it. It does virtually everything. And I'm not pimping Shadowplay by any means. I'm just telling you what time it is. Really just plug and play, turn it on, good to go. And the files are a bit bigger. And in that way, I guess that's another difference, is you can't adjust as many things as you can in OBS. And one of the things that you can adjust in OBS that you have total control over is how big your file is, and a lot of other things. You don't have that in Shadowplay, but not the end of the world. So files are a little bigger. arguably a little bigger than I want them to be. When you get into 30 and 40 meg files, that's getting kind of bulky to work with, but whatever, we'll make it. So Shadowplay works for everything except cattle and crops. So that, to me, that's like the definition of irony, is that cattle and crops was my inspiration to try to find a better way to record. I did, and I can use it for everything but cattle and crops. Oh, cruel fate. Why do you taunt me? So, I still have to keep messing with my settings for OBS for cattle and crops because I don't know when the patch is going to be out. They could release a sub-patch today. In fact, I think they already did. They released 1.4.0 was kind of the big patch. Had some new equipment in it and various things. And then they released 1.4.1 that addressed a couple things from 1.4.0. So it could be that, you know, they released like a 1.4.2 or whatever, and they sort out the AI. And if they do that today, then I need to get cracking, so to speak. So I need to have OBS sorted out. But in the meantime, I get ahead of myself. In the meantime, let us do some farming. As soon as I'm done here, then we're going to do some trucking. And yesterday, I haven't got any feedback on it because I posted it late last night, but I put up my first proper race video. I had a little test that I did a few weeks back. Some wet laps at Le Mans, but yesterday I posted a proper endurance race, and I just need to get some feedback on that. My regular friends and family. Right, send out some emails, talk to some people on the WhatsApp, see what they think of it, and I may be doing another one of those, depending. I really had a good time, and one of the most interesting things for me was trying to remember to continue narrating the video as I was racing, because when I'm racing, I really kind of zone out, absolute concentration. It's kind of hard to remember to talk, so I was happy about that. Happy that I didn't completely just go silent. I know I'm getting some pretty aggressive overlap here, but this is a kind of a wonky field as far as the shape of it. Right, so this will be the end of our soybeans. Just did it right there. Just completely stopped talking. It's me concentrating. Yeah, this is you know what I ought to do is plant this field in grass so we don't have this problem again, because I'm just driving all over. And I still have not found a definitive answer as to whether or not. I know it's not okay to drive on a field that you've seeded, but I need to find out how bad it is. Is it the worst thing ever, or is it just something you try to do as little as possible? And I could probably get... See my problem here? This is not very realistic. This is not very immersive. Oh, I will tell you another thing while we're talking about things that we're talking about. I haven't spent a lot of time in GeForce, which is the NVIDIA app that contains, among other things, Shadowplay. One of the things that NVIDIA claims, they claim is that their driver updates now are optimized for specific games. And when you look at your games folder in GeForce, it will have all your games listed, or almost all of them. Some of them it doesn't recognize. They're not optimized yet. Hang on, we're going to hop back in cab and see if our face tracking is still recognizing. Oh yeah. And I got this, I think, I hope, no, it's seeing it partway around. All the way there. All the way there, okay. So we're also getting our settings dialed for face tracking. So it sees most of my games in GeForce. GeForce Experience, it sees most of my games. And it tells me that my settings can be much more aggressive. It's telling me to bump things up to the anisotropic filtering, bump it up to 16x, and the bilinear anti-aliasing, bump it up to 8x or 16x or whatever, bump my light quality up to very high, and all these, what I think of as really kind of aggressive settings, much more aggressive than what I have set. So we need to, I'm trying to think how I want to do this. Okay. We're going to send this guy back to the farm, and do that this way. Store to farm north. Alright. Transport. Store to farm north. That. Speed is good. Nearest waypoint. Activated. Right. Off they go. So they want settings, or they recommend settings that are much more aggressive than what I have. And it's not that I don't trust it, but I sort of look at it like, are you sure? Really? Is that what you want me to do? And that's what they say they want me to do. So I tried it, and I have to say, I don't necessarily see much of a difference in the quality of the image, but I do see virtually no drop in FPS. And that sort of has me, right, like on the one hand, I think, well, if I can't notice any difference, then what's the point of doing it? And then from another angle, it's like, I think I want to do this. The JCB has row crop tires on it at the moment, so I think we're going to use this gangster right here. And I think it would make sense to, at the very least, get rid of the pallet. Should we leave the front loader on for mowing grass? I'm going to say no. Let's take it off. So you get what I'm saying, right? Come on. Oh, game. Are we starting this early? Does it have to be like this? Right. I'll go right here. You see what I'm saying, though? It's that if there's no difference in, or at least no like discernible difference in quality, I'm going to go ahead and get fuel while we're here too, because we're a little bit low. Then why make the adjustment? Because there has to be something has to be different. Either there's a difference in quality and in frame rate, or there's not. If there's a difference in quality and frame rate, maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. If there's no difference in either, then why bother? Because I feel like cranking up settings, there always has to be a price that you pay somewhere. And if there's no benefit that you can see, why even do it? So I'm really not sure. I'm going to have a sip of coffee while this is happening as well. So that is one thing. Now the other thing is, I know I'm seeing less of a ding on my FPS from not using OBS. And OBS is a great app. It's sort of the go-to, like everybody knows OBS, and there's no way that an app or a technology has that kind of a market share or that kind of a reputation unless it's really good. So OBS is yeah, I'm not knocking OBS. It's not perfect. I struggle with it, but I recognize that it's as good as it gets. But for me, it does ding my frame rate, and I feel like Shadowplay does not. So that could be it too. That we have. I just forgot where I put my mower. That we have a you know what I'm saying. That we're not seeing a bump in FPS from settings, we're seeing a bump in FPS because we're not using OBS. As always, you know exactly what I'm talking about, even when I don't. Right. Nope. There we go. Face tracking, clearly don't have the settings dialed yet. Continue working on that. Right. Doing a little mowing here. So we'll zero this. And here we go. And this mower is hopefully more than enough to pull this mower. This tractor is hopefully more than enough to pull this mower. I didn't want to swap I'm going to do my mouse thing here, so I apologize. A little bouncy. Right. There we go. I didn't want to mow with row crop tires on the JCB, and I didn't want to swap them back over. And when we do it at the implement dealer, it's 1,000 pounds. When we do it back at our own garage, it's free because we own the wheels, we don't pay the labor. And honestly, I mean, as soon as we're done mowing, as soon as we're done with all our grass mowing on this side of the map, I'm going to send the mower back to the farm side of the map, and then I'm going to quickly spread fertilizer on all of our grass fields. I mean, after we row up and forage the grass, and then everything will go back to the other side of the map. But one of the only things that we'll have to do all summer on the other side of the map is mow grass. So I think I may leave those row crop tires on the JCB, even though we don't really need them when we're fertilizing grass, because it doesn't. I guess it just crushes differently than regular crop. I worry less about crushing grass than I do about crushing other things. But rather than swapping the row crop tires back and forth, I may just leave them on there. And we'll fertilize grass on this side of the field and then take the JCB over with the rest of our equipment and use it as we're mowing grass during the early summer. Well, it's early summer now. You know what I mean. I'm going the wrong way. When you get up here, I will extend the mower out, and then we'll just take another lap opposite direction and get ourselves sorted out here. it's different. I have to say it's a little bit different that we this way. Yeah, it is. It's a little bit different to be recording games. It's sort of changed the way that I play them, because it's been, I guess, the better part of a week since I've been on the farm. We can just go right in there. Is that right? Perfect. It's been the better part of a week since I've been on the farm. And it's not that I forget how to play Farm Sim, but I do realize that I sort of sometimes almost forget where I am in the map, like what are we doing next and what needs to happen and that sort of thing. So I'm enjoying making the videos. I don't know if you're enjoying watching them. I hope you are. That's part of the reason I'm doing it. But whether you are or not, I'm really enjoying making them. And I'm definitely enjoying that sort of, how do I want to describe this? In looking for content, in looking for good content to make for the channel, I feel like I'm finding new games and new sims and new ways to do things, and I'm trying things that I would never have tried if I was just playing these transport and I don't know how you want to describe them. I mean, Farm Sim isn't really a transport sim, even though there's a ton of driving and you drive stuff around, but I don't know. Like work sims, because really that's what we're doing. We're working. Oil change, of course. Let's do this. Let's drive this guy till there's just a few minutes left before the oil change is required, and then we'll drop the mower, drive him over to the store, and park him right by the shop. Right? You know what I'm saying? You will. Well, who's going to run the rake then? Okay. We will, we'll mow till we need to get our oil changed. Then we'll go get the oil changed. Come back, drop the mower, and rake a little bit. Man. The struggle. I need one more headland. I need a little bit more room to turn. So we'll do one more headland. Also need to, there's some telegraph masts down here that we need to figure out. I may, depending on how tight it gets working around those, I may, that should be okay. We'll do one pass on this side, and since this is our, I think, the last headland that we need anyway, then I will make the next pass on the other side, but I can make it from the opposite direction if, right? You see what I'm saying? I know you always get it. I feel like there are times when I'm explaining something that I want to or need to do, and it's like I don't even need to explain it because you already know what I need to do and why. Now, I thought I saw on the Black Panther, is it Black Panther? Yeah. On the Black Panther modding website, I thought I saw something like telling you how long till you need to get an oil change, but I'm wondering if it's not that display up above. And the thing is, like, I knew about that one to tell you how many minutes, but what I really need is, I need there to be a window. One more headland. I need there to be a window where you can, not a window on the display, I mean a time window. I need there to be a window where you can get the oil changed, not before it's due, but like we all run time acceleration, right? So when it says I have 45 minutes to get my oil changed, I really have 9 minutes to get my oil changed. And sometimes I need more than that. So I wish there was right? Like, you see what I'm saying. If you're going on hours, like you do with the equipment, then if you have, I may turn this GPS off because our offset is just a little wonky on the GPS, and I can fix it, but I really don't feel like fixing it. So, what am I trying to say? So the hour meter on a piece of equipment, right? You're going to have an interval where you need to get your oil changed. And you can change it any time. You can change it every day if you want, but you need to change it after, say, 500 hours. So if you know you have a 100-hour project coming up, then you can change in when you're at, 350. If that's a good time to do it, you don't have to wait till it's at 500 or whatever. If you know that you're going to be out in the field working, not out in a field like a grass field or a wheat field, but like if you're going to be off site and you know that your service interval is going to come up while you're off site, you can jump ahead on your service interval and go ahead and do your service. Pardon me. Do your service before you leave for that trip or whatever. I would like to see that same kind of service interval window for oil change, because there are times when, like right now, we've started a job and we're going to have to interrupt it. It's not the end of the world. I suppose it does add some realism, but if you really wanted to add realism, I would say add an ability to change the oil before it's due. And to the best of my knowledge, that is not the case. I know when you drive up to the oil pallet, when you're not in that window, it does not give you the option to change the oil. So to the best of my knowledge, you cannot do that. And I think that's something they could add to the mod. It would not bother me at all. All right, let's go ahead and get this done now. Right. Okay. Jump back in. How we doing on face tracking? We're good. And let me turn my GPS off. Don't need it to go to the store. Now I suppose while we're over there we could do the regular maintenance interval. But for some reason, on these particular New Holland, they are unbelievably expensive to fix. Right? Yeah, I'll keep working on the settings. I know that the eye tracking is just out of control. I'm on it. I feel like it's too sensitive early, and then not sensitive enough after. I want it pretty much exactly the opposite of the way it is now. I need it to be, yeah, you feel me. Right. And it also, because right now I have my head turned pretty far, pretty aggressively. And I feel like what happens is, get it? Yeah, that got it. I feel like what happens is, when I have my head turned that far in real life, let's see what they want for repairs. Oh, that's not bad. 400 pounds, we'll just go ahead and knock that out. We did. There's our weight. I feel like when my head is turned that far in real life, that's when the tracking starts to get a little dodgy anyway. Like it would prefer that I be, how close am I? Am I close at all? Oh, I'm not lined up. Alright. Well, I'm going to do this in cab. Right. I think it prefers that I be a little bit more going on? There it is. That I'd be a little bit more in the center of the range, I guess, and not all contorted out to the side. So that is a settings thing. I will get that sorted out. I'll get everything sorted out. I promise. Alright. Alright, see, that's just barely turning my head. But then to go the next little bit, yeah. It's like I need to invert the sensitivity. I need to make it less sensitive up front, more sensitive later. Like later in the curve. You get me. You get me. Right. Try not to drive over the windrow. So, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it would have been nice to get that oil change done when we were adding fuel. I think that would have been a good time to get that done. So Black Panther, if you're listening. Alright. Let's see this over here. Where do we want to be? Okay. Now I still have my GPS. I'm still using it. I guess I'm using it just to keep myself straight. But I'm not necessarily following I'm only following the lines for the direction, not for the spacing, because it's a little bit off. Once I throw the mower out to the side, I feel like I need to get that. There's an offset tool and some various other things you can do to really make the GPS work for you, but at the moment I'm just not. Just using it as a kind of a rough guide. I'm not going to make this super pretty. I think what I'll do is I'm going to hop over a few rows and cut another north-south. I'm going to cut another north-south around these telegraph masts, and then we'll just chop the ends off back and forth until this is done, and then I'll hop on the rake and we'll get this knocked out. And what I will most likely do, since we have the drill on the other side of the map anyway, back at the farm, and we're starting to kind of finish up on this side of the map for the moment, what I will do is just forage up probably one load, take it up to the BGA, and then we'll call it an episode. Turn around here. My frame rate is up, and I'll be very curious to see the quality of the video and also the file size. But the frame rate is up. I feel like it's a better quality of render in game, and if the quality of the recording is good as well, then I think we'll stick with shadow play until further notice. I like OBS, but I feel like I've found a good solution. I just need to find what the problem is. I mean, I can tell you in cattle and crops, I went in and I was losing between 12 and 15% of my, I had an error rate between 12 and 15% skip frames, which is like, that's just mental. There's absolutely no way I can even understand that. And going through the log file and going through the errors in the log file and trying to understand, like, what's the problem here? Why is this happening? It's just, you just pick a line from the log file and then go to a forum and take a look around and find other people that have had the same problem and what caused it and what they did and that sort of thing. And it's, that's the world that we're in. When you get into mods, when you get into all the different ways that there are to build a system, all the combinations of well, I'm on a laptop, so I had some latitude in how I set the system up, but then HP built it for me. But if you go desktop, and particularly if you go custom desktop, take a trip down to Fry's, and you can set your desktop up any way you want for gaming. And I find that as we do that, and then as you get into, that's just the hardware end of it, then as you get into different software and drivers and rollbacks and just all the different ways that we have to configure things, you also, the further you move away from plug and play, the more challenges you give yourself as far as making it all continue to work. And to me, it's like building a hot rod. If you go down to CarMax and get yourself a used Honda Accord, it's not going to give you any problems at all. You put the key in, you start it up, you drive as far as you want. You drive cross country, and I would trust a Honda Accord from coast to coast and back. Keep the oil changed, put good gas in it. I would have no worries at all about something like that. Toyota, same way. You build yourself, a 1934 Ford pickup with some blown crate motor. Build yourself an old Ford with a blown crate motor in it. And I mean blower, not blown up, but you are going to have, getting it built is going to be, that's going to take months, maybe, to get everything set up. And even once it is running, you're always a day away from having the thing out sick for a couple weeks. And that's everything from you get a little frisky at a red light and blow something up, blown, all the way to it just won't start. Put the key in, turn it, nothing. And for the life of you can't figure out what it is, and you got to plug it into the laptop, and you're pulling codes, and you're doing all these things, and 10 days later you find out, that there's an oxygen sensor is giving a bad reading or something. Well, you're not going to have that problem with something like a Honda or a Toyota, and that's your choice. So I think if you want to get just a basic system and use it for things like watching Netflix and checking your email, you're not going to have any problems. But when you get into the things that we do with the games, and then I didn't even get to the mods, and you throw the mods in as well, and it's like you've got hardware problems, not problems, I mean problems in a good way. You've got your hardware, making sure that's all happy. And then you've got your system and everything else. You've got to make sure that's happy, drivers and updates and everything. And then you've got, in your Sims, you've got all your mods, keeping them happy. So, as much fun as it is to play these games, for me, it's also fun to keep them all running. And I feel like it's opposite sides of the same coin. Because to play them the way we like to play them, you have to keep them running. But the only reason we go through the hassle of keeping them running is because we like to play them the way we do. Does that make sense? I think it does. I don't know. I'll listen on the... It could be that I just said absolute gibberish and it makes not a bit of sense, but I try to be optimistic. So one of the first things we need to do is upgrade to butterfly mowers, because this is a mess right now. This is terrible. Can't believe how slow this is. I would hop on the rake and rake right now, but we're close enough to being done. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right. What else is going on? Shadow play settings. I can't think of anything. It's like a Tuesday where I am. Yeah. And okay, there's something. There's some current events. I haven't really seen a lot of mods on the Giants Mod Hub for, it's probably been close to a week. I don't know if they're closed or maybe running a skeleton crew for the Easter holidays. I don't know what the holiday break or holiday sort of system. I don't know exactly what it's like in Switzerland. I don't know if they take like a spring break around Easter or what the deal is, but I feel like the mods have slowed down. And I don't know if that has anything to do with, because we're still 6 months out from FS19. So there's still, I mean, they're doing another mod contest in a couple months, right? Is that right? Yeah, they do the mod contest every year. So there's another mod contest coming up. That's a pretty narrow row. Oh, wait a minute. How did that happen? Wait, what's happening? Why did... Huh. My mower just folded while I was mowing. Huh. Right. So there's another mod contest coming up. And I guess that's in another month or so. Yeah, another 6 weeks. So there's a mod contest coming up. That could be what's going on. Or it could just be they're all hands on deck getting ready for FS19. I don't know, but it seems like the volume of mods has slowed down a little bit. Curious about that. I'm also curious on the replay how long that mower's been folded. And I'm hoping I haven't been just like completely spaced out. I think that just happened. I don't know how though. I don't know what button I hit to fold it. Ah, it's just a game. Nobody cares. See, like right there, I'd like to be over a little further. I feel like I'm not really maximizing my pass, but I think I'm trying to pay attention to GPS, and I really shouldn't be. I should just be looking where I'm going. Alright. It's there. Beautiful. Beautiful. And this is not, I guess it's a bigger field, but it's not the biggest field that we have. And we're still in, I'm pretty sure we're in growth stage 1, because if we were in growth stage 2, every time we drove over this, we would have been crushing it. So I think we're, oh, now I'm like super curious. Take a look as soon as I'm done here. But if we're in growth stage 2, then our volume just jumped up significantly, even though we don't have as much fertilizer on there as we could have. Almost done. Hop on the rig. And you know, it's weird as we're doing this, like as we're doing this mowing right now, there's a part of me that's like, oh, come on, man, so much mowing. And like I want to be mindful of the pacing of the video, and it doesn't just turn into a bunch of mowing. And then I think, nah, man, there's, you know, I want to make videos that people like, you know that, I say that all the time. But I also know that everybody likes something different. So, for all I know, there's some gangster right now that's like, oh yeah, man, keep mowing. You keep that mower going. Because they just love that mowing. So, who knows? We'll figure it out. We'll figure everything out. We always do. Right. So, turn the GPS off because we clearly don't need that anymore. And then I'm going to drop this mower. I'm going to take a look at the growth state on the grass. I'm going to go get the rake. Yeah, I'm going to do it all. And then we'll row a bit, just quick like, and then we'll hop in the forager. Because, pretty sure, as big as this field is, we're only going to need to go once around to fill that silage tipping. Right. Now, one other thing, the fuel use mod that we're running, so the little down below in the HUD, lower right hand corner, to the side of the HUD, there's a circular gauge that tells us how much fuel we're using and how many hours of fuel we have left in the tank at current use. That's by Black Panther as well. And there's a cool feature in that, which is, check our status. So we turn on grass, and then we go here. Now, we're still in growth stage 1. Okay, cool. It accelerates the fuel use consistent with where you have the time acceleration set. So one of the things that, right, you get what I'm saying, what a cool detail that is, because if you accelerate time but then the game doesn't accelerate fuel use, you get essentially like a 400% boost to fuel. Don't flip it. And that's not fair. How fair is that? It's not fair at all. So I think that's a cool thing. But it does, like you notice straight away. Alright, here you go. Testing eye tracking. I'm going to do a little backing. Yeah, see, it's just not. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Right. So I think it's cool that it sort of keeps you honest as far as fuel. You know, to be using an amount of fuel consistent with, I guess, the work that you're doing to mow a big field like that. You would definitely be using some fuel, you know, with the PTO going and a mower drawing power and various other things. Let's do it this way. Spool that up. There we go. There we go. So we'll just do 1 or 2 passes, maybe 1 or 2 headlands, and then hop in the trail forager. So directly after I get done with this, I'm going to quickly knock out an ETS2 video. I'm going to get those 2 started uploading, and then probably a bit later today I will do a Project Cars 2 race to post tomorrow. Oh, I need to take a look at American Truck Simulator as well. You know, I said I had frame drop in cattle and crops, and I did on OBS. I said that was the only one. It's not 100% accurate. I also had frame drops in ATS, but not nearly as bad. So, curious about that. I thought it had something to do with Steam, but now I'm wondering. And that's what I was saying earlier. I mean, there's so many variables. Is it OpenGL? Is it DirectX? Is it not seeing the video card? Is it this? Is it that? There's just so many little problems to solve when something isn't working right. So many different things you have to kind of delve into to see what is causing the problem and why is this happening. It's the most frustrating part of technology for me. I think it's also the most satisfying part when you can sort something like that out. Alright, and it is 2:30, so I think our goal will be, at 5x speed, our goal is going to be to get all this grass into the BGA before midnight. If the witching hour hits when we still have grass on the field, it will rot. So, and we also, as it gets toward evening, we will also probably, and I may or may not do this off camera, but we will also have to hop into the, probably do it in this T6. Head up to the sheep pasture, grab the loading wagon, and come down here and just pick up 5,000 or 6,000 liters of grass, not chaff grass or silage grass or whatever you want to call it. Pick up 5,000 or 6,000 liters and take it up to the feeding trough at the sheep pasture, so my animals don't get hungry. Well, I mean, they can get hungry. I don't care if they get hungry. I don't want them to die. And with seasons, if you don't feed your animals, they do die. And that's no fun. So, down here. And I think, what side does that trail to? Trying to visualize which side goes to the other side, so we want to go that way. Okay. Set the brake, and now we'll run over here. Yeah, it kicks out to the right, so we would want to do our headlands counterclockwise. Is that right? Yeah, I'll see after I get it hooked up. Which I may do third person, just so I'm not torturing you and me. Gangster needs fuel too. I mean, it doesn't need fuel yet, but it's getting close. We'll save. Right. Over a little far. Right. So it does, right, it does kick out to the right. So we will go counterclockwise. Anti-clockwise, as they say. And I'm curious how long it's going to take to fill this thing. Probably more than one pass, but I don't know if it'll take two. So, Let me just jump right in here. No need to get cute. So that goes there. That goes there. I don't know why I have my cruise control set up to an axis on my flight stick. I use my throttle axis on my flight stick for cruise control, just for the speed, and I feel like it's always jumping down to 0, and I don't know why. It's easy enough to reset it back to whatever speed it is that I'm after, but I am curious why it drops down at all. I mean, clearly at some point it's seeing the axis as being at the negative side, but I don't know when or why it does that. So this will take us, I believe this will take us up near 100,000 liters at the BGA, which at the current rate I want to say is worth about 50 grand, and we have a 200,000 pound loan, and we still have to get a combine harvester. I'm almost positive we're going to be renting. I mean, we can borrow plenty more money. The problem with borrowing money is they typically want you to pay it back. So I want to be careful with how far in the hole we go. That up. That's weird, the angle of the shadow of the forager plus the dust, it keeps looking to me like I haven't picked up any of my windrow. We're full. So, drop this one first. This one. You know, so we go to the other side. Maybe it's easier from this side. Yeah, it just gets so bouncy. Like it's having a hard time seeing my face from this much of an angle. Yeah. Work in progress, like everything. Right. Try to stay first person up the hill and see. It's better when it's facing forward. It's not great, but it's better. So we'll stay first person. And I think another part of it is also that I have a moving chair, and these videos tend to run kind of long. So I move around in my chair, and the chair moves around on the floor, and even if I set some home positions and some various other things, I think I know the face tracking sees that as see, I just want to look a little bit, just a little bit. I know the face tracking sees those movements as as movement and not just incidental movement. So we'll get it figured out. Just another problem to solve. Alright. We'll drop this off at the PGA, call it an episode. Mount the curb, as you do. There's a massive frame drop right there. I don't know what that was. And I'm going to try to get down the driveway of the BGA. Come on. I'm going to try to get down the driveway of the BGA in one pass and not have to take half a dozen bites at it like normal. I don't know what my block is on that, like why I can't get that angle right, but it does fight me every time. And I know that there's another way to get into it through a grass field. I believe the grass field right next to it. Man, I don't, just, it's like my whole life is chasing FPS. I don't know why it's doing that. And it could be because we haven't driven around the map yet, at least for this episode, but man, I just want my videos to be perfect. Why is everything a struggle? Alright, I think we're stable now. Yeah, I don't know what the block is, and I know there's a way to get into the BGA from another field, but part of me thinks it would just be the same because it's a pretty tight turn from, is it there? What's this next one? So it's not that, right? So if I come way out here, and then I swing. Holy monkey, I did it. Right. Well, that's something that's gone right. Ah, that sounds whiny. There's been a bunch of things that have gone right. I just meant that. That also went, whoa, hey. That also went right. So we'll get around here. Get around here. Don't drive into a pit. I suppose I could be doing this in cab, but realistically I'm not going to do this in cab with head tracking where it is. With its current status, I wouldn't try it. Right, put this in this little gap right here. Beautiful. Right. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 2017 and Upton Farm. We'll see you again next time. Take care.